CTV family. Catch us live on your TV screens.
And you'll always catch us live on your TV screens. We're always feeling a bit energetic because I know that you're jamming at home. So earlier, just before the ad break, hopefully I don't destroy his name, it's Umqolo, and he was an awesome poet. Hopefully my name pronunciation is at least 5 out of 10. So you could just feel the passion. You could feel the passion, and I hope that you got some insight during that interview with Lama as well. But right now, we're going to do a very different interview from poetry. We're going to talk about the very scary word debt. Now, I'm a young adult, and I'm scared of the word debt, but we're sitting with two very friendly faces. It is the one and only Joy, she's a debt counselor, and Charlie, who is a customer liaison within the debt industry. So first things first, before we discuss the very scary word of debt, who are you guys? How did you get into the debt industry?
Okay, so we represent DebtQuest, the debt counseling company. It's our 10th anniversary.
Ah, congratulations.
Yes, so we're very excited to, it's a sign of longevity, and we absolutely love what we're doing. I started 11 years ago. I thought I love people, wanted to get to know people, and thought I'll do psychology, and had put that after a year, put it on hold, because there was a practical way that I could help people.
Yeah.
And that's why I started the debt
I think it's important to, have a career that's a little pragmatic.
Yes.
Because, I mean, it's tricky sometimes, learning all these things, and it's like, okay, but how can I use them to help other people?
And lots of psychology in understanding money, understanding yourself.
Exactly. And human habits, human spending habits.
That's right.
And what's your background? How did you get into the debt industry?
I actually worked in newspaper industry, and when I went back to Cape Town, I was looking for something to do, and Joy offered me a job, and didn't think I would get into helping with debt counseling, but I love it.
I'm glad to hear that you love it, because I think about the word debt and I get very scared, and I know you're here to change my mind and to change viewers at home. So what is debt? The baseline. Treat me like I'm a 5-year-old. What would you say debt is?
Okay, so debt is when you get money, it's not your money. So it's credit advance to you. And a lot of people think that credit limit, if you got a 5,000 Rand credit limit, that's your money. It's not your money. It's advanced to you. You don't have to take it.
So spending money that's not yours.
Yes, because a lot of people think you should take it. It doesn't mean that you need to take it.
I know my bank sometimes will SMS me and say, I can get a credit loan and all of this. I'm like, I don't want one.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into debt.
So there's a thing called good debt and bad debt, and that is a real thing.
For credit scores and such.
Yes, because if you're going to, because we want our own cars, and we all want to work towards our own homes, so you're going to need a little bit of behavior management. People will have to, that want to advance credit to you, needs to see, can you behave yourself?
I'm just thinking about that now. I recently moved into a new home, and it's not my home, but the landlord, obviously wanted all the applications filled out. I don't really have a credit score, and I said, isn't that a good thing? I've had no debt whatsoever. I've been avoiding debt, avoiding getting a credit card. How do you build good credit, a good credit score?
So that's exactly it seems so contradictory.
It does, it really does.
But the big brother, which is the credit bureaus, and there are about 12 to 14 credit bureaus in the country, and they have different strengths. For different industries. So if you're looking for a rental, it would be a credit bureau that is in the rental industry. If you're going to buy a car and you...
Big steps.
Then there are 4 financial credit bureaus that the banks use. So you see, not all 14 is being used all the time, but the 4 basic financial ones. And so they provide information to the banks to display your behavior. So we actually had a guy that worked with us, and so he was internal. We thought he understood all these things, but there's such a broad, debt is such a broad subject that you can't just pick it up in 6 months. But his story was that he knew that he needed to behave himself, so he bought himself a very expensive jeans because he opened up his clothing store, and he thought he was being a very good boy by paying it in the first 30 days. There's no behavior trend that one can follow.
I'm learning a lot here. I hope everybody at home is learning something as well, especially young adults.
Yes.
So what you're saying is basically that the banks want to be able to track, are you good
Yes.
at paying back?
Are you paying on time?
Uh-huh.
Are you short paying? So that is over 3 to 6 month record that
So
information is
after
needed.
30 days is what you're saying.
Yes.
Not
And-
quick.
Yes, and don't pay it up. You pay. You also don't have to pay the minimum. So you can pay a little bit more if you want to, but see that there is a 6-month history on you.
I feel like
Because-
we're going to have an hour conversation after this as well. I'm going to be like, how do I build a good credit score? I think it's so fascinating that, we hear the word debt and we get very scared. But you're two very joyous people, and excuse the pun, but two very joyous people who, are really opening that word up, that word debt that's very scary. Now, I also wanted to touch on, because I know that you work specifically in the customer industry as well, and I'm sure you deal with a lot of angry people, upset people, happy people, which might be a rarity. But how do we deal with our emotions when it comes to debt? Specifically, we just came out of lockdown, and I, for one, know I did a little too much online shopping. And I used to hate online shopping, but we found ways to cope during lockdown. So how would you keep that stability, especially keep your emotions in check during lockdown and now that lockdown's over?
Normally what I would tell people is to make sure that they actually check their credit report so that they know what is outstanding on their names. Lots of times there'll be arrears that they're not aware of, and in that way you know what is outstanding and how you can fix all of that. Not a quick fix, because most times you have to have your roof paid first before your debt gets paid. Lots of discipline.
I think
Lots.
it's so scary, it is definitely a world where you can learn so much.
And that is why we're here. That's why debt counseling companies exist. It's to help you along the journey. Because you have to interact with it. You can't ignore it, like we said. If you want to rent, if you want to buy a car, you need to interact with debt. But let me tell you about the credit bureaus. It's free. So
We love the word free.
yeah, so free. So you just go online and you say free credit report. You can get annually. You are allowed to get your free credit report.
Okay.
So it's not pie in the sky.
Not
just-
something unachievable.
And it's not and it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg.
So where can people go on the big Google machine to find
Okay,
those
so
credit
you can
bureaus?
put in free credit report.
Mm-hmm.
So you can put in ITC. You can put in CompuScan. Everybody knows ITC or TransUnion. And there's XDS and there's Experian. So they will give you a free credit report.
So what would you leave? I feel like I've learned so much right now. I want to go write down all the points that I've learned. And I hope all of our viewers at home are also learning loads. Even if you're a young kid, if you're under the age of 18, it's important to know it, from when you're young, so that when you get of age, you know exactly what you're doing. Because adulting is hard, guys. It's hard. Is there any last-minute contact details or last-minute advice that you would leave our viewers with?
Okay, I would like to say what I've learned in lockdown is that before lockdown, when we spoke about, guys, we need to save. You need to save have an emergency fund. People looked at me as if, I was speaking a foreign language. Now with lockdown, we all have a point of reference. Because
That's
we couldn't,
important.
we couldn't.
So I'm going to have to stop you right there, but I hope you guys have learned so much, because I know that I've learned an immense amount. And go and Google these things. It's not scary. Reach out to people. And of course, stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Don't ever run to the bathroom.
CTV family. Catch us live on your TV screens.